Hey everyone, welcome to episode 26 of August Wisdom, 31 episodes in 31 days. Today we're going to be talking about beware of guru projection. Welcome to the Deep Psychology Podcast. I'm your host Ross Edwards, author, coach and podcaster. We cover deep insights into your psychology, helping you grow in psyche and spirit. Make sure to subscribe to Deep Psychology on Spotify or Apple to stay up to date. You can also visit the website deep-psychology.com, visited by tens of thousands of people every month for lots of free resources. If you want to go deeper with this work, you might like to do coaching with me. Head to the website for more details. It's time for today's episode. So just before we get started with today's episode, I'd just like to say that I am a coach, and if you're interested in psychospiritual work, you might like to work with me one-to-one. So head to the website deep-psychology.com to check out what I've got going at the moment. So today we're going to talk about guru projection, and the title is Beware of Guru Projection. So what on earth am I talking about here with guru projection? So basically what I'm getting at is the phenomenon that happens when we typically sort of read or start listening to talks from, or we start attending retreats with a teacher, particularly a spiritual teacher, who seems to have a lot of spiritual knowledge and spiritual wisdom. Okay, what basically happens is that often students begin to project onto the teacher, and it happens in a very specific way. It happens, the way it shows up is that basically they idealize the teacher and they see them to be sort of, a being of light, the pinnacle of humanity, the all-knowing, all-seeing, and sort of like a father figure, a mother figure, a hero, a savior, that kind of thing. Okay, and this is very well known about. I've had it done to me, people project onto me in this way, and I've done it myself plenty of times, so I'm speaking from experience on both counts here. So I think we should first of all explore briefly why this happens. So I've got my theories on it. I mean, one thing is that basically when we have things buried in our subconscious, we project them onto people. Whenever we have a sufficiently good hook for it, we can project onto them. So in this case, what we're projecting is actually our own excellence and our own knowledge and our own wisdom onto the guru, right? Because we are probably not in touch with it as much as we should be. And so someone who we meet who seems excellent in a certain way, particularly when it comes to spiritual themes, they're very sort of an easy target for us to project our shadow of not recognizing our own excellence, basically, and just idealizing them and worshipping them. That's at least one reason why. Another reason why, I think, is because there's something about spiritual work, and it seems to kind of offer a solution to all our problems. And in a sense, it does. I mean, if you've done deep spiritual work for any length of time, you'll realize that it really changes your life in surprising ways that you've probably never come across through any other methods that you've used. Okay, so that happens, but as a result of that, people who teach it, they are sort of they become victims of our projections for kind of to be saved, to be looked after, like the child within us who wants to be sort of looked after and who wants sort of everything to be all right and taken care of, and everything's going to be good forever. And I think there's that part of it. There's sort of like I can't remember if there's a name for it, but there's a part of us that basically wants relief. It wants relief from life and from everything that we go through. And so the guru comes along and they start talking about spirituality and all the everything that happens and all the benefits of it and all the rest of it. And they become very easy targets for this part of ourselves to latch on to, right? So I could go into a lot more detail on why, but basically in essence, it's an over-idealization. It's an idealization of the guru and perhaps sort of an underestimation of oneself, an overestimation of the guru, an underestimation of yourself. Now, what's the problem here? I think the main problem for me is sort of encapsulated in the saying that you never meet your heroes. What do I mean by this? Well, the saying you never meet your heroes basically means that when we're young and we have like a hero figure, often like a sports person or a music star or a celebrity, if you were to ever meet them, you'd realise that they aren't really what you think they are, because you were just building up this idea of them in your mind. And this happens in spiritual circles and with gurus and teachers. People, because of this projection that happens, people tend to not see teachers as they are. They tend to sort of idealise them and see them as like perfect people and that have no flaws and all the rest of it and never suffer, never have difficulties. And that simply isn't true. And in fact, one of the interesting things that's happened to me is that the more that I grow spiritually, the less I idealize other teachers, because I look at them and I just say, well, listen, you've certainly done a lot of work and you've certainly gained a lot of wisdom and spirituality, but you're still human. I mean, I don't know your story. I don't know who you are really. You've certainly got a lot to say, but you're still human and you still probably go through a lot of the stuff that ordinary people, quote unquote, go through. So there's that side of it. Just the fact that you never meet your heroes, they're probably not as perfect as you think they are. The other side of it is that it creates a split, and it sort of creates a barrier to your own awakening, to your own spiritual life, because when you create this figure of perfection in someone else, you're likely just to keep chasing that in the other person. And eventually you're going to become disappointed. You know, instead of making the goal inner transformation, you make sort of the goal to imitate or to find the apparent perfection that you see in the other person, right? And this is a trap, because that perfection, you are projecting it onto them, right? What I think the way we should see spiritual teachers, and it doesn't matter how much wisdom we think they have, we should just see them as human beings who have come to understand very deep things, but they are still human. And they're probably not as perfect as we think they are. And this is why a lot of people get very disappointed with gurus, and they're like, oh, I can't believe, he had an affair, or he drinks alcohol, or it turns out he's got some sort of addiction, or he said this in the media or on a podcast. And it's like, well, maybe that's not their problem. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe that's your idea that they should somehow be perfect. Right? It's actually very unfair in a certain way, because you can also see a teacher as just an experienced student. They're not the pinnacle. They've not sort of reached it all. They've not understood it all. They're you, but at a higher level, and you could certainly become them with enough practice. So they're not the finished product. They're just in progress, and they're maybe a bit further along than you, but they're still students, they're still learning, they're still growing. And ultimately, it's just a distraction. I mean, anything that isn't really related to your own spiritual growth and how you embody that is a distraction. And worshipping a guru falls into that category as far as I'm concerned. Eventually, it's not that you don't have to listen to anyone. That would be a trap as well. But eventually you're going to realize that words are just words. And everything that is written about spirituality is just that. It's just writing. And the only way to understand it is within. It doesn't matter how good your teacher is. It doesn't matter who you're listening to. That is really what it's about. And they can never do that for you. And at the end of the day, they are just trying their best to explain something that you yourself can come to realize, or many things that you can come to realize. It's not just one thing. So beware of guru projection. And I can tell you that I have many struggles in life. I'm certainly not perfect. I've had my bad habits over the years. I'm getting better and better as the years go on. But I just do my best to explain what I've come to understand about myself and the human condition and the world. And anytime that you sort of idealize me, I want you to kind of take that back and maybe ask yourself, is this valid? Like, do you really know? You could be projecting all kinds of things onto me that have nothing to do with me and who I actually am, right? They're your projections, right? And they're an important thing to realize in yourself, because in your own projections, you're realizing your own psychology, your own plus points that you're projecting onto other people. All right, I think that's all I want to say today. So make sure to come back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central European Time, 7 p.m. UK Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for episode 27 of August Wisdom. There are still 5 episodes to go, so make sure you subscribe on Spotify or Apple to be reminded of them when they are released, and also just to keep in touch, because I'll be continuing way beyond August, I can assure you. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you very soon. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, please leave a review and make sure to subscribe on Apple or Spotify. If you'd like to go deeper with this work, head to deep-psychology.com to do coaching with me. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.